gives the House the sole power of impeachment when the president commits high crimes and misdemeanors. We exercised that power on January 13th. The president, it is undisputed, committed his offense while he was president. And it is undisputed that we impeached him while he was president.
Okay, we're watching the
there can be no doubt
second impeachment thing. Listening to this guy here.
And
amazing.
There can be no doubt that the Senate has the power to
listening to this scripted lawyer sitting up here reading his script,
Article 1, Section
giving
3
us the lip service like these people always do.
Power to try all.
This is what we get, people. A bunch of paper brain idiots who sit up in here and read their scripts they've been working on for the last couple weeks for their 5 minutes of fame or their hour of fame or whatever, while they sit up here like they've been doing now for decade after decade, putting on their goddamn circus. Because that's what this is a goddamn circus. This was not the intent of the American government. Our government was not implemented as an authoritarian government over us the people to act as foolish as what these people are. There's no professionalism here. There's no dignity here. There's no honor here. What do you got here? I'll tell you what you got here. You got full 100% complicitness in denial of the very issue that is the problem in America, the government. The government's failed in this country. That's the problem. Democrats, Republicans, from the federal level down to the state, county, city, and town level has failed. These people have been drunk on power and corruption now for decades. And all this guy is nothing but a hot air bag giving us a pre-written speech of a bunch of bullshit. I'm sick of it. Because look at this. Disgraceful. He wants to talk about the Constitution. Okay? In the founding of this country, in the laws and the rules of the Constitution, these people haven't abided by the rules of it. Look at them. I'll give you an example. The Constitution, 1, states that we have a Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. For the last 30 years, all these people have been doing is try to infringe the Second Amendment. Right now, Joe Biden, the entire administration of the Democratic Party, has nothing but legislation lined up to infringe the Second Amendment, as if they somehow have the power to self-endow themselves with some kind of authority to overrule the people's constitution. Look, we got to wake up and realize something, people. It was not the government who gave us the Constitution. We, the people, drafted the Constitution as the rules which established this government. This government didn't establish this nation. This government didn't establish itself. The Declaration of Independence is what gave the consenting to that of a Constitution to be drafted to even establish a government to be allowed in this country. And we, the people, drafted that Constitution as the rules of which they must abide by. They have to take an oath to. And they have to stand to uphold to that oath. But they fail. Who is the problem of all the issues we're facing in this country? The Democrats are a big part of it, but the Republicans as well, because they're complicit in their silence and their refusal to do anything like a bunch of goddamn cowards. But the Democrats are the one who control the majority of the poverty-stricken, drug-infested, criminal-overrun societies and cities and communities across this nation. As these people sit and try to tell us, and they pit us against by racial issues, black against white, now immigrants, illegal against legal immigrants, anything they can find to pit the people and make the people fight, Trump and Biden, Democrat, Republican, you name it, black and white, they're dividing us. All the while, nobody's paying attention to them. And that's the whole thing that this all is right here. This piece of shit right here. This educated, paper-brained, script-reading idiot right here. All he is trying to do is redirect our attention from the fact of what is the real issue in this country, the real problem in this country, the growing and long-standing abusive government of this country is the problem. These are the people, the very people we entrust to govern for us, who are overreaching and acting outside that of our consented to powers and authority, who are causing the very problems across this nation that we the people are facing, and I'll tell you why. Trillions of dollars that go in tax money. These people have all, Democrats, Republican alike, they got to be complicit and cover for each other because they've been so embedded in the corruption for decades now. Everyone has something on the other for some kind of complicitness in some form of corruption. And I'm going to tell you right now, what this guy doesn't want to say, and what you won't hear them say, Look at, for the fact, near 5,000 Americans killed in the last 20 years right here on our home ground. You want to know why? Because of the corruption, the treason, the abuse, the overreach, the self-serving, no good, disgraceful, treasonous people we entrust to govern from the federal level down to the goddamn town level of their complicitness. We're taking hundreds of millions of dollars in scholarships and grants and money flowing in out of the Islamic states to allow them to buy seats within the federal level, of which 4 seats now in the Congress is filled with Islamic totalitarian Muslims, right down to state levels, and where we have senators and we have that of statesmen and representatives of these Muslims, right down to county levels where they're in control of our Department of Education and social programs, right down to town levels where they're on the commissions and that on the boards. And what are they doing? They're indoctrinating the American posterity. They're confounding them with foreign totalitarian Islamic regime ideology. And they're corrupting our society and us, the American people. And you can't deny this. It's a fact. It's a fact. These people are trying to redirect us away from the very truth of the cause of the problems. They're the problem. The government's the problem. All these corrupt, no good, disgusting, treasonous scumbags who are representing us are the problem. Because you know what? As we've seen in this last election, we have no say about who gets elected for real. I mean, we might have, in 2016 we had say, obviously then we were still a republic. Then we could still place a president because we were able to then get Donald Trump elected, right? We did that in 2016. But obviously right now, we are no longer that republic. But in the last 4 years, though Donald Trump did many great things, he accomplished unprecedented things. When you realize the things he's done, I can't take away from the man for what he accomplished. Okay, he ended a 50-year war between North and South Korea. He, for the first time in 50 years, brought America to be energy independent. He established an economy that was booming unlike anything we had ever seen in the history of this nation. He had job growth going for all Americans, black, white, Hispanic, Mexican, you name it. People were working, and the industry was booming, and people's hopes and dreams and visions were unmeasurable, and people were reaching for their dreams and going for it in hard work and effort. And you know what? The Democrats couldn't stand it. They couldn't stand it. And for 4 years, we heard nothing but hate. And not only the Democrats, a bunch of complicit, goddamn, no good, evil, disgusting, treasonous, goddamn Republicans as well, who all envied the hell out of the man. Okay? But he kept persevering forward, Donald Trump. He did whatever he could. He worked out foreign negotiations with so many things. He eliminated NAFTA. He got us straight with the UN. He got America booming, our economy booming. He brought back faith and pride and dignity in being an American again. He did a lot of great things. But in the end, it appears he may have buckled. In the very end of what this man's talking about, and let me tell you something to this guy. I was there. This had nothing to do with Donald Trump. This guy's a goddamn liar. He doesn't know nothing. I was there. And I'll tell you what I seen and what I heard. I'll tell you as an eyewitness. Everybody was believing that on the divisiveness of this nation and how divided it was, of which for weeks it had been talked about online, on Twitter, on Facebook, all over social media, across this country, within all 50 states, and tens of millions of Americans had debated this for weeks before this happened on January 6th. And looking at and they realized that what needed to be done was that the divisiveness was so far spread and so unacceptable by the American people that the only civil, reasonable thing to do would be placed to the responsibility of Mike Pence. And that would be to hand over the election for a re-election with the Senate to put it finally to rest and resolve the matter. And you know what? People were listening to him. They had people set up everywhere, had screens, they had speakers, and people were listening to what he was saying. And when Mike Pence announced that he was going to ask for an extension for time to review of the evidence, people realized in that moment, that's when it started. People realized in that moment that they came out there this day for resolution and resolve, and a final resolution that would ensure everybody of a fair election, only to be duped again and sent home so they could sneak behind everybody's back and do what they planned on doing anyway, and that's steal this nation. And then people became angry. People became angry. And they wanted to go in, and they wanted to face the Congress, and they wanted to face these people. That's what they wanted to do. Now, I understand that there was a group of people with Antifa and Black Lives Matter who went in there, and they did damage, and they stole things, and they did things that they shouldn't have done. But I know one thing from what I witnessed. People who went in, as soon as they realized that the Congress had been evacuated out of that building, and there was no way they were going to get to confront those people, they were coming back out. Those are the ones who lingered in afterward and did damage and made a fool of themselves. I can't say for it. I can't say for that. But I know that wasn't what the people who were upset, they wanted to go in. They wanted to face off with that of the people they elected. Because you know what? This government no longer represents the people. It represents that of its own special interest. It acts in that of favor of each other, of its own special interest, to cover up for each other all the complicit corruption that's going on. These people are dealing in hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're stealing and robbing from the American people. They're robbing us blind people, and they've been doing it for decades. And the fact of the matter is clear. Look at them. They're all billionaires and millionaires. Look at them. And ask yourself, what do you think, we're stupid? How did you become Nancy Pelosi? How did she become a millionaire? Tell me the product. She can't say her winery because it's been failing in a write-off for her for the last freaking 2 decades. Okay? Get real. These people have done nothing to have the financial ability they have unless they did it through corruption and theft of government funds. And that's what they did. Like you look right now at what Joe Biden's doing and signing off all this money out to other countries. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Those countries are going to donate back into foundation and grants and what have you and pay him off like a goddamn real estate agent gets a commission. And that's what they don't care. They're self-serving. They don't care about any of us. They just keep circling the money around and enriching themselves in their own self-serving interest. They don't give a damn about the American people. Now, I want to hear what this guy's got to say.
Very much a former official. Despite that, the House went forward with its impeachment proceeding in order to disqualify him from ever again holding federal office. And so the Senate proceeded with the trial, with none other than Thomas Jefferson presiding. Now, Blunt argued that the Senate couldn't proceed because he had already been expelled. But here's the interesting thing. He expressly disavowed any claim that former officials can't ever be impeached. I mean, unlike President Trump, he was very clear that he respected and understood that he could not even try to argue that ridiculous position. Even impeached Senator Blunt recognized the inherent absurdity of that view. Here's what he said. I certainly never shall contend that an officer may first commit an offense and afterwards avoid by resigning his office. That's the point. And there was no doubt because the founders were around to confirm that that was their intent and the obvious meaning of what is in the Constitution. Fast forward 80 years later, arguably the most important precedent that this body has to consider. The trial of former Secretary of War William Belknap. I'm not going to go into all the details, but just in short, in 1876, the House discovered that he was involved in a massive kickback scheme. Hours before the House committee that discovered this conduct released its report documenting the scheme, Belknap literally rushed to the White House to resign, tender his resignation to President Ulysses Grant, to avoid any further inquiry into his misconduct, and of course, to avoid being disqualified from holding federal office in the future. Well, later that day, aware of the resignation, what did the House do? The House moved forward and unanimously impeached him, making clear its power to impeach a former official. And when his case reached the Senate, this body,
I gotta say, this is ridiculous, and it's a shit show here, people. Because let me tell you something right now. What this guy, now it's amazing how these people can indulge into the history of our nation in the cases of things of what's in favor for their part. But I don't hear any of them talking about the time during the Civil War with Abraham Lincoln's second term of the mail-in corruption that took place with the mail-in voting and the ballots then with the military by the Democrats trying to corrupt the election then. Did you know it was the Democrats all along in our country who were the first to ever try to corrupt the elections through fraud? And they've been doing it ever since. There is not a Democratic election from the Civil War forward up to 1915 with Woodrow Wilson that there isn't some kind of corruption going on. But you know, all the way up after the Civil War, almost up until Woodrow Wilson, except for one break where we had one Democrat run, there was no Democrats making it. The only way they could win the election was through corruption. And boy, when they got in with Woodrow Wilson, this guy don't want to talk about what happened with Woodrow Wilson. Matter of fact, as a black African American, I guarantee you this guy right here is an affirmative action, goddamn rehearsed idiot reading a script just like the other idiot, and he knows nothing of the truth of the matters of the very party he represents as a Democrat. For him to be a black American and a Democrat in itself shows the complicit ignorance of this stupid fool right here. Okay? Let me tell you something. If anybody knows the truth of the history of the Democratic Party and you're a black American, you're a goddamn ignorant fool. You're a right-out ignorant damn fool with no understanding of truth of the American history or the founding principles of this nation or anything like it. This guy has to be a complicit idiot fool. And it's clear, I'm sorry, to anybody who knows history. The Democrats, prior to being the Democrats, were the British Tories. They're the majority of slaveholders in this nation. They formed the Democratic Party as a Democratic pro-slavery party fighting for slave owners' rights to keep slavery and expand it. When the Democrats in the Civil War formed the Confederate slave states and the Confederacy, they drafted their own constitution, elected their own president, Jefferson Davis. They formed their own military, and they committed an act of treason in an attempt to overthrow the constitutional free United States Republic. This is what they did. They did that fighting to keep slavery. Why? Because they were the majority of slaveholders in this country. And they enjoyed sitting back on a porch drinking their iced tea while they made their slaves labor for them for all their money and wealth. Because you know what? The Tories became the most wealthiest people because they became the largest of the landowners and slaveholders in this country after the Revolutionary War. Because they claimed all the land and slaves that they were managing for King George III as their own. And they fought for 90-something years against the Republic in trying to keep slavery and expand slavery. Then after the Civil War, what did they do? The Democrats, they formed the Ku Klux Klan. In 1870s, they formed the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan labor unions. And then in the 1900s, we see Woodrow Wilson come in. This is the guy who showed the birth of a nation and gave free rein to the Klan to go out and terrorize all black communities across this country, resulting in tens of thousands of blacks being murdered, communities being completely burned down, and white Republicans hung and shot to death in the goddamn woods across this nation who supported a unity of one people of all equal. And this continued on. And then we had a run up after 1921 of Republicans. Then you had FDR come along. FDR is the guy who allowed the Nation of Islam into this country, allowing the first mosque to be built known as the Mother Mosque here in America. He's the one who condoned for the Nation of Islam to start spreading under a guy named Fard, who took it up with Malcolm X. And then the guy who runs it now, they have Farrakhan. Okay, this is the facts, and these things led all the way up to, like we know, of the stuff that happened with Muhammad Ali in the 60s. And then in the 60s, they killed John F. Kennedy, and they got Lyndon B. Johnson elected, who's one of the greatest freaking racists, unbelievable, and was best friends with Robert Byrd, of which we know Robert Byrd was a long-standing Ku Klux Klan recruiter. He died in 2010. The majority of all the now current administration of the Democrats honored this man as a hero, knowing he was a former Klan member. He wasn't a former, he was still a Klan member, trust me. He was still a Klan member. Like FBI files even confirmed that Lyndon B. Johnson was a Ku Klux Klan member out of Texas. Yet these people sit in here, and they know. I'm telling you right now, it's pretty clear to me. A lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. I get it, because you've been dumbed down, deprived of proper education in this country, but I guarantee you everything I'm saying is the truth. And when I look at this right here, nothing but a bunch of rehearsed guys. Why? You know why? Same thing with Trump. You want to know why the whole thing's all been about? Let me ask you something right here. Let me ask you something. What the hell are these people doing for us, the people? If they're spending all their time, wasting time in worthless hearings about impeachments, raising issues about all the problems with the government, of which they are totally in denial of the fact that the very issues they're all talking about is complicitly stemmed, rooted, and grown, and birthed, and manufactured right out of them, the government. They're in total denial that they're the problem, but yet, this is ridiculous. What are they doing? What are they doing to resolve the issues? Nothing. Pointing fingers, blaming back and forth. Pointing fingers, blaming back and forth. Nothing ever gets resolved. What these people do, and have been doing now for the last 5 decades, is they manufacture society's crises. They manufacture the racial issues, the immigration issues, the war issues, the economic issues, and then they present themselves as a solution to the very problem. When we, the people, recognize that one government party over the other is the cause of the problem, the other party capitalizes on it by claiming themselves to be the hero who's going to save everybody from it. And then they run for the election, they get elected. Then they do the same thing the other party did, and they run everybody into the ground because the shit never changes. It only gets worse and worse. Look at any city controlled by Baltimore, like Baltimore, the Democrats, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Newark, New Jersey, Brooklyn, look at any one of them. Los Angeles, California, freaking capital of homelessness right now. Any one of them has been decaying and deteriorating since the 1950s forward. Not a goddamn 1 year of improvement in any of these places. But yet, they keep saying they're going to fix the problem. They're the cause of the goddamn problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, the deal that we're facing right now in America is this. The hard shut reality that we got to face is we are no longer a republic. One way or the other, in all complicitness of all, Democrat and Republican alike, they have breached the will of the American people. They have literally done what they have done in a criminal act of trying to protect themselves in their own treason, in their own acts of criminal extortion of the taxpayers' funded money out of what they've been robbing and extorting us from, and not to mention, too, the bribes and payoffs they've been taking with totalitarian foreign nations that are known and declared enemies of the United States. These people have been despicably, disgustingly corrupt to a point and a level of evil. They deserve the harshest punishment the law can apply. And what they're doing right now is in their last-ditch effort of all possible to avoid being held accountable. They're trying to blame now the American people who uprose. Look, if you, the government, was doing the right thing and there was no corruption and there was no issues in this nation and everything was as it was supposed to be with the government and you were doing your damn job, paving the roads, building the schools, building the bridges, building the ports like you're supposed to do, keeping our military intact and strong, keeping our nation, our peace and our tranquility. Let's, when we look, you talk about like the Constitution, it just amazes me because, like this guy, he wants to talk about history. Does anybody even remember the preamble of the Constitution? We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain this Constitution for the United States of America, right? We, the people, are the first three words. You understand that, right? We, the people. So understand that's our Constitution. This is the rules we lay that the government must abide by in order to govern for us. If they act outside these rules, their authorities and consented to powers are suspended because they're in contempt of the Constitution. And right now, the entire government is in contempt of the Constitution. We've seen acts of contempt across this nation with the COVID. We've seen acts of contempt within current recent bills being filed trying to infringe upon the Second Amendment. What's in the Second Amendment, it's very clear when we look at the Second Amendment that it's the only right that we have in our Constitution of the amendments that it states of a right that says shall not be infringed. Right? It says it shall not be infringed. The Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. That's the only right. And there's a reason there's the only right that it says it shall not be infringed. There's a reason that the Second Amendment is that only right. And you know why? Because that's the only right that guarantees the protection of all other rights. This is the God's honest truth. You see, if we have the Second Amendment and the right to arm up and protect ourselves in this nation against a tyrannical government, we can protect all other rights. But there's only one reason this government would want to disarm the American people, and that's that they intend to do something very, very bad in this nation. When we look at the Constitution itself even, I want to just, I don't want to mess up now, so I'm going to read this. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Right? It's pretty clear. Shall not be infringed. And this is the thing I'm trying to say. How long has it been uninfringed? And what is, when I was a younger man, I can remember in the city even, everybody carried a gun. Everybody had a gun. And if somebody got in a scrap or a fight, the first thing they'd put their gun down off to the side. And then if they were going to fist fight, they fist fight. A gun was for and everybody knew because there was a point in this nation where since you were a kid, you learned about guns. They even used to have gun safety and how to shoot a gun in school like a gym class. They would teach the kids how to shoot. They had skeet shooting with shotguns at the high schools. And, when I was a kid, You went to past the school, in the high school, everybody had a gun rack up in the back window of their car or their truck with their gun, their rifle in it. And I mean, there was a common, people would be walking down toward the woods area, the shore areas with a shotgun over their shoulder to go duck hunting. It was a common practice just when you think just 30, 40 years ago. And today, it's like, it's considered like taboo, like a goddamn crime. It's ridiculous because, the problem isn't guns. The problem is the ignorance of guns. The ignorance of society to their right to have guns. The ignorance of how to use guns. The ignorance of that we are supposed to be. Like when you look at the Constitution, I want to find the Constitution, Section 1:8, right? When we look at the Constitution, I'm going to see if I can find this here. It's in Article 1, Section 8, I believe, and I'm going to try and see if I can find this and pull this up, and we'll take a look at this while we're ignoring the idiots right here talking on the screen. I think you could probably see that now, right? You can see that right there. Let's take a look here. Right here is the part I want to talk about. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try and zoom in to make sure this is very clear. In Section 8 down here. Right here in Article 1, Section 8. This is the part I want to see if you see that. To provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the disciplines prescribed by Congress. So you see, they have even violated the Constitution in the sense that they do everything to their benefit. They do everything to their benefit by the rules of the Constitution, but they do nothing to our benefit, because this is to our benefit. The militia is there to protect the home front, and it's there as a people to fight and defend the Constitution and us and our rights against that of enemies, foreign and domestic, to include that of treasonous, tyrannical government. But when you look at Article 1, Section 8, you don't see, where do you see Congress laying aside a budget for the arming and disciplining of the militia of the people? No, I don't see it. They're trying to disarm the people. They're not following the order of Article 1, Section 8. Why? Because that puts an army against them. That would arm the American people to have the ability, powers, and authority to remove them at will anytime they want. And it would definitely make up for the truth of that. The militia is the military. It would tie the militia of the people to the military, of which it always was. Believe it or not, the military is a branch of the militia. All the branches of the military are a branch of the militia. They're a branch that goes abroad and meets the enemy on their grounds. But the militia is the defense of the home ground. And the military can be either or. They can unite with the home ground and defend us at home, or they can go abroad and meet the enemies there and defend us from afar. But the militia is all the military, and it's of the people. And that's what I'm trying to say. When you look at the Constitution, the first three words of that Constitution is pretty clear. We the people. I'm just saying, people, what is going on right now is a shit show joke. All these people that we are listening to and that we see are a shit show joke. These are rehearsed lawyers. Look at this guy. He's just a suit-wearing, no ignorant, friggin' paper-brained idiot, just like all the rest of them, giving us the lip service, sitting in here arguing to who? To who's he arguing? Is he arguing to us, the people? No, we're just puppets out here on the screen watching this. He's talking to those members in the Congress, the people who are going to make a decision for who? Us or themselves? Because let me tell you something. Under the Constitution, the House of Representatives and the Senators, 2 senators per state. The way it's supposed to work is our representatives come to us in our districts, and they ask us, the people, what we want to do. Then as the collective of all representatives of the state, they carry that to the 2 senators. The 2 senators are supposed to carry that to this house right here, and they're supposed to vote and go by that of the will of the people, not their own will. But we won't see that in this. We won't see that. What we will see here is them do that of their own will, without even asking one goddamn one of us what we think. This is all just a shit show. Do you not realize the people have nothing to do with this, outside of the right and the privilege they give us to watch this go on? That's it. We're sitting here watching it. Not a goddamn one of us is in that room to have a say. And that's what happened on January 6th. the American people wanted to go into that room and have their damn say. They wanted to be able to confront their government with a rhetoric of grievance because they're sick of the long span of abuses and corruption and treason that's been ongoing with this government now complicitly for the last 50 goddamn years, and progressively, decade after decade, getting worse and worse. And the only people in denial of that is the very people accountable and responsible for it, and that's you, the goddamn government. You all are the ones who are the very cause of all the issues we are facing in this nation, because you are nothing but self-serving, complicit, treasonous, scumbag, greedy bastards who do nothing for the American people and everything for yourself. And you have organized and legislated yourself into a box of immunity where you can't be held accountable. And that's where you're safe. And you know what this is all about? Your fear. Your fear because you realize the American people at the line, they goddamn had it. You're so scared, you literally got Washington, D.C. behind a fence right now with National Guard standing around protecting your coward asses while you sit in here and play this shit show on the American people. Like we don't know what's going on. It's disgraceful what's going on. This is just totally disgraceful, people. And I'm telling you, the more they do this shit, let me tell you something, the government, all you people, the more you do this shit, the more higher and likely you're going to see what you've seen on January 6th happening again. And it's going to happen again a lot worse if it keeps going with this bullshit and you keep playing this game, because the American people have had it. They have had it. Let me tell you something. You know, I see articles they talk about, you're finding out that there was many National Guard people among that crowd. There was many FBI among that crowd. Many LEO, law enforcement among that crowd. Sheriffs, state police, police officers, many, even DC cops themselves were among that crowd. And this is what you're in denial of. You don't realize. You know, because here's the truth, people. Here's the truth, and I want you all to look this up. The siege on the Capitol in Washington, D.C. was not the only siege. Did you know across this nation, at most state capitals as well, there was state militia and patriots positioned around the capitals to remove this government nationwide? That's how sick of it the people are. So the government now is telling us, the majority of all the nation of the people in every state, not just the capital, because they keep focusing on the capital and they don't want to tell you. Look it up. Look at the matter of fact here. I'm gonna pull it up for you. I'm gonna pull it up. Let's see what we can find here. Right here. Here we go. Here's one. I'll just give you an example. Maybe you're not aware of this. Right? The insurrection is happening at state capitals too. Did you know this? Did you know this? That the militias and the patriots were taking state capitals across the nation, not just in Washington, D.C. No, not just in Washington, D.C. They were taking state capitals across the country. You see, the government's in denial of the fact of this. The American people have had it. The real problem in this is the government. That's who the problem is. The real problem with this is this shit show, puppet show that's going on right now in Congress with all these corrupt, no good, treasonous scumbags who are just trying to redirect this away from themselves and to blame the Trump supporters and the Republicans and Donald Trump. No, the truth of the matter is the people that are at fault for this are the rhino, no good, treasonous scumbag Republicans and the long-standing enemies within of the Democratic establishment. Because the Democrats have never, ever, ever been for America. They were always foreign traitors of this nation. And people just don't know the history, but it's a fact. And this guy, I mean, I get a joke out of this. You want to talk about pandering to the bullshit. Here they got a black lawyer up representing the Democratic Party. If anybody knows anything about the Democratic Party, you gotta be joking me, right? Abraham Lincoln right now, catches Marcellus Clay right now, rolling over in his grave right now, seeing this kind of bullshit. This is such a joke, and you want to talk about an ignorant fool for a black American to be standing there and defending a Democratic establishment like this in such an issue as what's going on. That man right there is a goddamn ignorant fool. You can't get more ignorant than a black American being in a Democratic Party. Talk about a complicit, friggin' affirmative action idiot. Paper brain idiot right here. Yet he thinks he's very smart and intelligent. Let's listen to the idiot.
I was on the floor with lead manager Raskin. Like every one of you,
Look at this scripted bullshit. Look at it. This is like watching a puppet show, like a movie, isn't it?
Storm the Capitol's gates.
Do you think this guy talks with his wife and his kids like this at dinner? Let me tell you something, kids. This is what we're going to eat. Yeah, cut me a break. What a joke.
That day.
Look at this.
What our country experienced that day.
This is why they hated Donald Trump. You know, I'm going to tell you why they hated Donald Trump. Donald Trump was real. He didn't act like this. He didn't have a scripted role. He didn't play like a fake character and try to be something he thought the people wanted him to be and try to fill the shoes of some fantasy character that really doesn't exist because that's what he thought people wanted to be. But that's what this guy's doing. He's just playing the role of what he thinks looks professional in a suit, standing at the podium here. I'm a lawyer. I'm this guy. This is my script. This is what I got to say. You know, like some actor. This is bullshit, people. If you don't see this is bullshit, this guy's not real. None of what he's saying is real. Look at him. He's got to go through a script book. Oh, he's done. Let's look at the next idiot coming up. Is this Schumer coming up? Who is this next idiot coming up?
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is David Cicilline. I have the honor of representing the 1st Congressional District of Rhode Island. As I hope is now clear from the arguments of Mr. Raskin and Mr. Neguse, impeachment is not merely about removing someone from office. Fundamentally, impeachment exists to protect our constitutional system, to keep each of us safe, to uphold our freedom.
Keep each of us safe. Are you kidding me? This guy here is a Democrat. Okay, we've had cities being burned down by the Democrats, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter. Looting of businesses. Businesses burned and scorched out, robbed to the freaking blind. Thousands of thousands of people's lives affected. Literally millions of jobs lost from the violence incited by these people. With Maxine Waters coming out. Let's go back and take a look at Maxine Waters. Because you see, this is what they're trying to avoid everybody from seeing here. I want to go back. Let's go here. We're going to pull up something here. I got to do this because you know what? This is such a joke. Here we go. Let's just take a quick listen to this, people.
Hey, this is Gene, and I know you're interested in what I do.
got to skip this
watched
commercial
that
in 1
webinar,
second.
You learned, but you didn't.
What's happening in America? Civility out, shaming and shunning in. On the same weekend, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders...
We forgot about this, right? They're saying what happened on the 6th of January is bad, but we forgot about this. Let's take a listen to this.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore.
Really? Really? Is that not insurrection? Is that not elected government officials themselves calling out for that of Democrats to attack Republicans? Are you telling me I'm blind and I'm stupid, that what I'm saying is not true, that they're literally pitting us, the people, against each other as a political teams? Do you not see this, people? And why are they doing this? To distract from them themselves. And look at these people. What are these? What is this guy? What's this paper brain idiot got to say?
That the former president thinks you have no power whatsoever to adjudicate.
Look at this guy. Let me ask you something. Do you think this guy knows what it's like for me and you? Do you really think this freaking paper brain idiot right here has any clue what it's like to go out in this world and earn a goddamn living and deal with the aggravations and the issues these bunch of political goddamn puppet scumbag treasonous traitors cause us to go under in our... Look at what they're doing to our economy. Look what they're doing to the states. Look at how they've infringed upon our freedom, our liberty, our tranquility. You know, it's amazing. Like here, let's go back to the Constitution. What is the cause? What was the reason we, the people, established the Constitution? Why did we establish a government? Let's read this. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. We, the people, established this. That consents to this puppet show of bullshit government, right? Now, let's read that again and take into note, okay? in order to form a more perfect union. Let me ask you something. Where does this government attempt to even perform that of unifying this nation? They divide us by immigrants, legal and non-legal, black and white people, Spanish people, Chinese people. You name it, they separate everybody. There's no just Americans. There's Chinese Americans, black Americans, African Americans, Mexican Americans, Spanish Americans, you name it, Irish Americans. See, everybody's got a title to be divided. There's no union being established here by this government. All on the documentation of everything they do requires you to identify yourself as a minority. Right? If you're an American, what the hell does it matter where your ancestry is from? Why does that matter? Why can't you just be an American? Because that don't work for them. See, if we did that, then there's no divisive measure. These people, like I said, manufacture the very thing that's causing the issues. Let's go further here. Establish justice. Really? This is a goddamn joke. This is a joke. Because you know what? We can see how all these people in government are totally immune to that of what we are subject to by the law. That's a fact. These people literally get away with murder. Okay, and we know it. They get away with treason, high crimes, misdemeanors, you name it. Because you know what? It's clear and unquestionable that, like this guy was just saying recently in his own argument, that they can resign before being charged so that they can't be held accountable. Now, did we make that rule in the Constitution? No, we didn't make that rule in the Constitution. They made that rule. Under their consenting authorities and powers we gave them, they legislated these rules for themselves. Okay? And why? Because there's something missing from the Constitution. There's something missing from the nation. And that's the department of the people. You see, we don't have a department for us and where we can control this government. Because they haven't got to that. Because that goes back to Article 1, Section 8. That militia, that's who's supposed to be the American people. The demonstrated example of authority over this government that keeps them in check above all other broken up branches or divisions that keep them in check. They say each branch is supposed to keep the other in check. The final branch is supposed to keep all in check, or we the people. You know, and what we need to realize is this. Here's the law of the nation. We're going to take a look at the law of the nation, okay? The law of the nation, that falls right here under this here, the Declaration of Independence. Now, I want to read this to you. Okay, the first part is in the course of the human events because necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have necessary for the one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind, require that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Now, understand, this is the founding document that establishes the United States of America. It establishes us as an independent nation from all other worldly governments. Just follow me here, people, so you understand, because the government that we're trusting doesn't seem to understand this. It says here, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. You see that? There's that union thing. All men are created equal, so all are unified as one people of all equal. Get it? That's America. I don't see anywhere it says all people except for Mexican Americans. All people but African Americans. All people but Irish. No. All men are created equal. One nation of one people of all equal. You see, if the government would stop dividing us, that's what we could accomplish. But we don't get there. And they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Inalienable rights. That means no man gave us these rights. They're self-evident. They're self-evident. Let's take a listen to who they're self-evident by. That the security, it says right here, the self-evident, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter it and abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. You get that? You see that? Did you see that? We the people have the right to alter, amend, or abolish any system of government that we consent to when we feel that there's a long strand of abuses. Okay, and this is what I'm saying. We've got to wake up and realize we are not doing our part as the people, and if we did our part, we wouldn't be facing these issues. We wouldn't have these problems. And it's because of this idiocy that we got going on here. This shit show of a parade, a play, like a movie. This is all distracting. Right now? What are we? Donald Trump's fault? The Trump supporters' fault? The people's fault? And somehow, if we impeach Donald Trump, it's going to solve all the nation's problems. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that Donald Trump is anything but a problem in this country? He was president for 4 years. The people that this idiot right here, and the guy before him, and the guy before him, and the guy before him are defending, have been in this government 30, 40, and 50 years. And you know what? 30, 40, 50 years, they've been telling us what they're going to do to make things better. And for 30, 40, 50 years, things have been getting worse and worse and worse, decade after decade. To the point right now, the entire nation, which I'm trying to show you. You see, this is what I'm saying. The entire nation, right here, insurrection is happening at state capitals too. Most people aren't aware of this. It was happening across the state capitals warn of threats. Right here, you see? You're not aware. Do you see? They're talking about Washington, but they're not telling you that the American people across the country had gone to their state capitals and done the same thing. People were fed up across the country. The American people were about to overthrow the entire government across the country because they were sick of it. Had nothing to do with Donald Trump. The people were sick of it. They have been talking for months on social media and everywhere and right out in the public. I can tell you right now, in the 3 counties I cover, I've been listening to people in Circle K, 7-Eleven, and everything right before going to Washington because I went to Washington. And that's all people were talking about was that Mike Pence better do the right thing. The nation's too divided. They better hand it off to the Senate. We better get another re-election. It's too divided to have it go this way. Nobody trusts the government. We got to reestablish. Everybody believed. And then I know right now you got these people here, like this paper brain idiot right here. People like this douchebag, this guy right here, who's never done a hard day labor in his life, doesn't comprehend the reality of everyday average American, which is the majority. He's a part of that 1% of the people that's in a delusional state of reality. They don't even know what it's like for us, the everyday people. These people have no clue. Not to mention that, I'm telling you the God's honest truth. You take, for example, all the people in government of elected positions, appointed positions, or that of immediate, like authoritative positions, right? Their salaries continue on. Their pay is auto deposit monthly. Their benefits continue on. They still even get their raises and cost of life living increases no matter what the state of this country. Right now, with all that we're going through with COVID-19, with all that the economy is collapsing, Joe Biden snatching out 50, 60,000 jobs like it's nothing without a concern in the world. You know why? His check's showing up at the end of the month. He don't care. All those elected officials, their checks are automatically deposited at them. They don't care. They don't care. They're not affected. They can't even understand why we're upset because, they're like, I really don't have a change in my life. My bank account's the same. My bills are the same. What the hell are these people complaining about? Because they don't know. They don't know. And most of them are a long lifetime career in politics. It's all they ever done. And when you realize that the majority, like this guy, he's a lawyer. The majority of Congress is lawyers. The senators are lawyers. And they're all in this fraternity together of lawyers, okay? That's what they are. Fraternity of failed losers is what they are. Because you know what? When they got out of law school, some of them, like Ted Cruz worked a little bit for a law firm, but that law firm realized Ted Cruz is a little bit lazy, doesn't really have what it takes, not too sharp. He knew he couldn't sustain in that law firm, and he didn't have what it takes to make it for himself. And I know a lot of people like Ted Cruz, but I'm sorry. I don't care for the guy. I don't care for anybody who tries to scam the American people. That's another video. But I'm just saying, right? He couldn't make it on his own. So what did he do? His only alternative? Run for office. This is high-paid welfare for these losers. That's all we're doing. We're giving these people high-paid welfare to come back and do what they love. Here's where they are. They feel important because they were failures. They were losers. They couldn't make it into law practice with a firm. They couldn't do it on their own. So they get elected as government officials and they cling on to it for their life, for that $174,000 a year salary, so they can get up and speak and feel like they're important and they're not losers and failures. And we, like idiots, keep electing these people because we fall for the spiel of bullshit they give us. They are just telling us what we want to hear. Do you understand? You see with the polling and all going on with the media, right? They poll for what is the popular opinion. And have you ever noticed that when the poll comes in and when it says the popular opinion, all these talking heads come up and they speak in favor of the popular opinion. Why? Because they want the majority of the people to be in favor for them to elect them. Because if it wasn't for their government elected position, I'm telling you right now, the majority of those who are governing for us, like look at AOC or Hank Johnson out of Georgia, you want to talk about an idiot. These people wouldn't qualify to scrape grease off a goddamn dumpster behind McDonald's. They're freaking idiots. Okay? And these people are affecting literally hundreds of millions of people's lives, and they're putting that threat, millions more lives, and they're putting that threat that of the American posterity. Mine, yours, and all Americans, grandchildren and children, their future. And what? 535 idiots and a bunch of other complicit right now with them. Their allies, their friends, their attorney friends right here, all in their little fraternary complicitness of freaking a legal society that keeps itself separate from all of us. Look.
They're also completely irrelevant to the question of whether you should.
I'm talking to you randomly, people. Let me tell you something right now. I have no script. I'm just telling you randomly what I think, right? I'm speaking freely. This guy is scripted. Everybody in here's got a script. Everybody's got a role to play. None of them are real. I'm the real deal. I don't have a script. I just came on here because I'm pissed off about watching these freaking people. I'm sick of it. And I think somebody needs to call it out. So I'm just doing that. Now look at the difference between me and then the idiot here. And look at him. Look down. Read your script. Read your script. Did you practice this in front of the mirror, buddy? You know he did, right? You know last night this guy was in front of a mirror in a Hotel 8. Doing his hand motions, doing his gestures, doing his checking with the polls to find out what is it to people. How's he going to act? Who's he going to get? How many people are even watching this thing? He's got 2,100 people. That's it. So this is how interesting it is to the American people. 2,100 people watching. What a disgrace.
President Trump was not impeached because the words he used, viewed in isolation, without context, were beyond the pale.
And then notice that slip up right there. President Trump was not impeached. You hear what he just said? Was not, like as if Trump was already impeached. Trump's not impeached yet. This guy's already trying to put the subliminals out. You see this? And this is crazy. People don't catch this. This is all rehearsed, pre-planned. This is a scam. We're all playing. This is a freaking scam. I'm sick of these people. It's a shit show, people. This is no different than goddamn One Life to Live soap operas. And now it's the government, though, and it's real, and it's affecting real people's lives. It's affecting our pursuit to happiness, our real dreams. It's a threat to that of our real republic. We cannot sit and allow this idiocy to continue anymore. This is idiocy. And they're using that of our own American assets, of true assets of our military, that of our National Guard, real weapons that can literally lead to a battle between that of Americans against Americans in a bloody civil war. Do you know the last civil war had more casualties than the entire Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and the two wars with the Muslims and the founding of this country? And this is what these people are toying with, because you know what? When it breaks out, their coward asses ain't going to be involved in it. They're never going to be on the front line. You look at the prestige and the privilege these scumbags get. You know who should be getting the prestige and the privilege? The men and women who put their goddamn life on the line day in and day out in our military. Not these goddamn puppets. These puppets are nothing but representatives. A goddamn bang. You could train a freaking orangutan to do their job. Their job is simple. The people and the representatives ask the people what they want. The people in each district give their opinion of what they want. They carry that to the majority of all the state's representatives. The representatives there tally up the full majority of what the state wants. They hand that to the Senate. The Senate carries it to Washington. He votes in favor of the people. That's how simple it is. You don't have to be a lawyer or very smart to be able to do that. All you need to be able to do is follow that instructions, because that's what the Constitution says. That's what they're there for. That's their duty, to serve the people. But look at the shit show we got going on here, and how they're using this and what they're doing. I mean, how many people are on board with understanding what I'm saying? How many people see it? I know there's got to be a lot of people seeing what I'm saying. I know there's millions of us right now understand and recognize the truth of what I'm saying. And how many are sick of it? I'll tell you how. And then these people are teetering the line right now with this game. They're still playing the game, and they don't realize that insurrection they're talking about had nothing to do with Donald Trump. It had everything to do with millions of Americans, just like me, fed the hell up with the shit show bullshit of all these educated idiots up here playing games with my children, my grandchildren's life, and that of the posterity of this America, the future's life, with the idiocy and these people and their corruption and their greed and their overreach of power. We're sick of it, the people. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. But you people keep pushing this envelope. You're going to find out this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. And I'll tell you what, you cause an uprising, and you pit the American militaries against that of the American people. In the end, you threaten. I'm going to find something real quick. We're going to listen to Joe Smo Asswipe here, and I'm going to go and I'm going to look for something real quick.
But Donald J. Trump was president of the United States. He sought to overturn a presidential election.
Just listen to the shit show here while I look for something.
To consider it. He spent months insisting to his base that the only way he could lose was a dangerous, wide-ranging conspiracy against them and America itself. He relentlessly attempted to persuade his followers that the peaceful transfer of power that was taking place in the Capitol was an abomination that had to be stopped at all costs. He flirted with groups like the Proud Boys, telling them to stand back and stand by, while endorsing violence and sparking death threats to his opponents. He summoned an armed, angry, and dangerous crowd that wanted to keep him in power and was widely reported to be poised on a hair trigger for violence at his direction. He then made his heated statements in circumstances where it was clear, where it was foreseeable that those statements would spark extraordinary, imminent violence. He then failed to defend the Capitol, the Congress, and the Vice President during the insurrection, engaging in extraordinary
35 years of age, many years ago,
and desertion
I was homeless.
of duty that was only possible because of the high office.
Okay, we're gonna take a little look at something else here. I want to show you. This guy is like obviously does not recall this. Okay, let me just pause this idiot here, his script reading. Okay, and we're gonna take a look at this here. I want everybody to pay attention to this here. This is what the Democrats think about Republicans.
What we should be doing is shunning these people. Shunning, shaming these people is a statement of moral indignation that these people are not fit for polite society. It's not only that Trump has to lose, but that all his enablers have to lose. We have to collectively, in essence, burn down the Republican Party. We have to level them, because if there are survivors, if there are people who weather this storm, they will do it again.
That is a Washington Post columnist.
So, did you hear that? This is what the Democrats, you go on to national news. You see her, she's on national news. I want you to hear this again. He's talking about insurrection. He's talking about inciting violence. He's talking about all this stuff he's trying to put on. But yet, for the last 16 years, this is all that Democrats have done. They have incited riots. They have incited looting. They have incited the burning down of businesses. More than 14 people murdered in the friggin' acts of violence and rioting and looting that they have going on across this nation. And the protests that they've been doing are what they call peaceful protests. BLM's getting the Nobel Peace Prize. In spite of that, 17 people were killed and literally billions of dollars in damage done to burn down communities. Hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs, their businesses. It's ridiculous. This is like the twilight zone of idiocy. But let's listen again to what the Democrats have been saying now about Republicans for decades. And this is on live national news. This is what they say.
What we should be doing is shunning these people. Shunning, shaming these people is a statement of moral indignation that these people are not fit for polite society. It's not only that Trump has to lose, but that all his enablers have to lose. We have to collectively, in essence, burn down the Republican Party.
Are you kidding me? Right? This is okay. This is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Let's go now and let's see if we can.
We have to level them, because
level them, burn them out. You name it. Boy, this lady's not playing. She's talking about doing some damage, ain't she? She's really inciting it to do some damage. Let's take a look at what kind of damage she wants to do. Let's take a look at it. Oh, look at here. Let's take a look at some of the damage she wants to do.
I switched from State Farm
right after this commercial.
They had me paying $163 a month.
And thank you so much for your time in Chicago. And
Black Lives Matter falsely and absolutely did not happen.
Look at this. Here's the peaceful protests and stuff that these people are getting their Nobel Peace Prize for. Look at this.
And he did not die. He's alive, although.
Look at it. Breaking into businesses, busting out business stores, thousands of millions of dollars in business. Innocent people's lives ruined. People who work their whole life, actual working class people, not these paper brain ass sitting politicians who sit on high paid welfare and don't even get affected by any of this. People who dedicated their whole lives to building a business, had their businesses destroyed. Tens of thousands of them across this country. Look at this. Look at this. Here's the piece. Look at it. These are the Democratic voting base. Look at this. Right? You're seeing this, right? This is all okay. You didn't see this in Washington. You didn't see the American patriots doing this. You didn't see Republicans doing this. No, you didn't see any. The Republicans, you see what the problem is? The government's fine. The government's fine when we go out and we destroy our own communities. They're fine when we riot and loot with each other and we attack each other over racial issues. And we're killing each other over racial issues or immigration issues or whatever. They're fine with that. The difference between why this is all okay, why all the rioting, the looting, the stealing, the murdering, the shooting, the violence, the beating each other up, why all that's okay with the Democrats? Because nobody's targeting the government. They're fine with it. You see, they cause all these issues. They're the ones who incite all these issues, and they have no problem with us doing this to each other. Now, the difference between this and what happened on January 6th, I'll tell you what the difference is. Republicans, we ain't going to go and attack innocent people. None of the Republicans in Washington want to attack or hurt innocent people. I was there. I witnessed my own eyes. They were telling the cops, we don't want to hurt you. Get out of the way. They wanted to go in there and they wanted to attack and deal and address and raise their rhetoric of grievance right to the face of the goddamn scumbag, worthless, no good treasonous traitors who are responsible for it. Those members, those 535 members in that house of the people. The ones who are causing all this problem. The ass-sitter, worthless, no good piece of shits who are all sitting right now with this clown in denial of the fact of truth, that they are the cause of the problem in this country. They are the initiators and manufacturers and the very issue that is causing all the problems in this country. They, the government themselves. They're the problem. And they're in denial of it. And they're trying to redirect it on to Donald Trump and the American people. The difference to why they're upset, they didn't upset about Black Lives Matter burn, like I said, because they were attacking each other. They were harming the American people, not them. The patriots and the militia and the people who are in Washington, they took that shit right to the people who are accountable for it. The government. They were going to go in and after them and deal with them. Like you see Black Lives Matter going through that town, destroying all the Republicans' property and shit like that. Or all the people, the peaceful, innocent people, right? Destroying their businesses, burning the community, flipping their cars. The Democrats got no problem with that. They got no problem with that. They got no problem with them attacking and hurting other innocent Americans. But boy, oh boy, they're really scared now when they see Republicans come right to the goddamn Capitol and go in there and want to do that to them and deal with them directly to their face for the goddamn treason, corruption, and abuse of overreach of powers and everything that they've been doing now for decades that caused all these problems. Oh, now they got a problem, don't they? That's not, no. You can't have that. You can't have that. That's the real problem here, people. The American people were dealing with what is their right to do. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's what I'm saying. It's the American people's right. Because here, when you read the Declaration of Independence, that when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Though prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established shall not be changed for light and transit causes. We're not talking about light and transit causes here. We're talking 50 years, actually we're talking 160 years of overreach, abuse of power, and consented to authorities. Disgusting afflictions onto society, murder, destructions of private property, infringement upon the rights of people, like unbelievable measures for 160 years. Long span of abuses here is what we're talking about. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established shall not be changed for light and transit causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Okay, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same objective advances are designed to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is the right and their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. You see, we have that right. And at this point, when we realize the government itself has been inciting riots, looting, beating up of each other, going through neighborhoods, burning down innocent people's homes, destroying their private property, their cars, going into private communities, tearing out gates, kicking in and raiding in malls and robbing them. I mean, burning literally in Los Angeles, burning entire police department cars, fleets of cars in the streets, taking the gear, trying to bust into the police department like we've seen in Oregon, literally seizing an entire town and holding the town hostage, barricading the streets to it like we've seen in Oregon. When we see these kind of things here, we have the right at that point to realize it is time to amend, alter, or abolish this goddamn government because they are the cause of it. They are the cause. The governor in Oregon was the cause. This guy was given sanctuary to illegal immigrants. This guy was given sanctuary to the criminal rioters. Okay? And this is the government. They're in contempt of the Constitution themselves. They're in violation of their own oath to the Constitution. All of them deserve to be impeached. Every freaking one of them has committed crimes to be impeached. And every one of them, actually, when you look at the basis of where it goes from the federal level down to the state level, the county level, the city level, involvement with the departments of education and social programs, and how these people have been selling seats to foreign totalitarian Islamic Muslims who are the known and declared enemies of this nation since its founding, and that these people have been coming in and indoctrinating that of American posterity and disrupting the civil society of that of our moral values and principles as Americans, and infringing upon the peace and tranquility of the American people, and literally have been responsible for killing near over 5,000 Americans right here on our home ground after telling us they were going to do this and declaring death to America, and our own government knowing this and doing nothing to stop it, but doing the contrary, literally fighting to bring them in and let them do it. This is the treason these people should be hung for. This is the treason these people should be going to prison for forever. They should be subject to the very law of the idiocy they're trying to placate here on something as a total redirect of the truth of what I'm saying. They're all guilty. They're all friggin' involved and complicit. All of them in treason. And the people of this country know it. That's why they don't want you to know it. But there was an uprising, not just in Washington. But look here. State capitals warned of threats, stay on high alert. It was happening, people, across the nation. They were taking, there was people taking capitals across the nation. It wasn't just in Washington, D.C., and it had nothing to do with Donald Trump. It was with a disgusted, fed up, massive amount of Americans in the millions. And I'm telling you what, that base of fed up, disgusted Americans right now is getting angrier by the day, fed up more and more by the day, and that base is growing. That is growing. The next time is going to be 3 times the mass of what it was the last time. And the other bad thing for the government is they're so stupid they don't realize. There was nothing going to happen on January 20th in D.C. because the American people weren't going to go out, like I said, and shoot their own brothers, sons, nieces, daughters, nephews, cousins, and family members, because that's who make up most of the National Guard. There was an idiocy by Donald Trump to allow for the National Guard to be pitted against the American people. But it was a good thing to quail it down and stop it because we weren't going to shoot each other. But in the next rise up, I can guarantee you, like they're finding out right now, many National Guard were among that movement. Many FBI agents, state police, sheriffs, and police officers were among that movement. Fiber police, thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of veterans from all branches of the military were part of that movement. And they were part of that movement across this country. And that base is growing. And you, this corrupt, disgusting, no good, evil, piece of shit government, had better wake up. Because you know what? It ain't going to be like it was last time next time. Next time's going to be for the real deal to remove you son of a bitches once and for all. And then we're going to have the military go in and appoint that of a temporary government until we restructure this. We're going to just have to shut down the borders and do it. So I would advise you all stop your shit show bullshit game and get real about straightening things out and find out the truth about the corruption in here. Give those of moral, true honor within this government, because there are a very small minority of true honorable people in this government anymore. The majority is all complicit, long-standing in this corruption that has been going on for decades. But you know what? You people keep playing the game. You're going to find out just reality of what history repeats itself. And when history repeats, we're going to make an example. There's going to have to be, you, like here. Well, let me go back. I want to find, here we go. Let's listen to what you people say. This is how we're feeling right now about you, the government. If we were to just change her view from this being on the Republic, 80 million Americans is who she's talking about. 80 million Americans who elect you stupid douchebags. Okay, that's who she's talking about. But what she says is right now the exact view and opinion of that of more than 80 million Americans right now in consideration to you, the government. So listen to what she says and understand this is what every American right now for the majority is thinking about you, the government. And boy, what she's saying is mild compared to what I'm hearing the American people want to do to you, the goddamn government.
What we should be doing is shunning these people.
We should be shunning the government.
Is a statement of moral indignation.
Yeah, because they're all in moral indignation. Every government representative is a no good scumbag treason this traitor.
To lose, but that all his enablers have to lose. We have to collectively, in essence, burn down the Republican
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Burn down the government.
Level them.
That's what the people. Level you all, eliminate you all. If we get rid of all of you, all the corruption and complicity is gone.
That is a Washington Post columnist.
That is what the American people are thinking. You know, and this woman here is a nutcase of the left, okay? And she's saying that about Republicans and conservatives and independents. You know, according to her, the racist founders of the Ku Klux Klan, long-spanning terrorist organization of the Democrats, is a moral value for people who have indignation in this country and, you know, are a peaceful society. Really? Are you joking me? Peaceful society? Really? Let's take a look at the peaceful society that she's talking about. Let's take a look here.
Stop cleaning toenails. It doesn't.
I'm sorry about the commercial people. I got no control over this.
That's what Lisa.
This is all just outlived in.
Thank you so much for your.
Look at the peaceful society of Democrats. Look at this. This is the peaceful society of the Democrats. Look at it. Look at how peaceful they are. You know. Look at that. Look at that. Let's see if we can find some more here. Here we go. Look here. Here they got the police. They had the police penned up in the police department. They're setting off fireworks, and the police had to fence themselves in. They're lighting bonfires. They're threatening to kill the cops. They actually did kill cops. Did you remember the ambush? They went up on the cops in the car. They shot them. You know, these are peaceful things according to Democrats, though. They were peaceful protests according to the Democrats. I don't know how they could say that, but that's what they were saying. Here, let's take a look at some more peaceful democratic movements that were taking place. Look at here. Oh, here we go. Look. The sirens are just for a good sound effect, I guess, right here, right? Look, here. Look at this. They're throwing the garbage all over, and now the cops got to come in, and they got all this upset going on, and rioting going on, and tear gas. Look, it's such a peaceful parade going on here. This is peaceful protest by the Democrats. This is what they consider to be moral actions by the Democrats. Let's take a look at some. Let's go forward. Look here. Now here you see, you hear these people are trying to erect their own little fort. They're attacking everybody they can, and it gets better. Hold on, we get better. This is in Washington D.C., so you people understand too. Or no, it's Montreal riots. I'm sorry, I thought it was in Washington. Look at here, how peaceful they're being and how much unity they're reflecting on the police officers. Do you see it? As they're hurling rocks and fence and pipes and everything at the cops. Do you see the unity here that the government's creating? The Democrats? I mean, look at this. You understand why this is okay and what happened in D.C. isn't, right? You do understand. You know why? Because look, they're not attacking the government in D.C. That's the difference. See, they don't mind them killing the cops. They don't mind them cursing the military, disgrading our flag, burning our flag, looting the stores, burning down. They don't mind that. As long as they don't bother those in charge of the government who are the cause of it, they're okay with it. Boy, when you go into Capitol, you start going after the people responsible for it. Now there's a problem. That's a problem. They don't like that. Here, let's take a look at what happens when they get into these businesses of these people. Okay, here we go. Peaceful Democrats that are busted into stores and are now robbing stores and looting. Look at burning them down. Look at the peaceful love here. Do you feel the democratic love? Do you feel it? You know. Look at it. This guy's desperate. He wants to get into Wells Fargo because there's money in there. Money in there. And this is because you know what? When something happens where the police in the Democratic community shoots a black person, the rules are they're allowed to rob banks. The Democrats don't mind that. Matter of fact, you know, the Democrats themselves set up bail arrangements for these people after they were arrested. They bail them out because they're okay with this. You know, they're okay with it because they know most of the money in there is probably Republicans, so that's why. You see, this is the truth, people. That's what I'm telling you. This is God's honest truth. That's why it's okay with the Democrats. You see, now, if they were busting the windows out of the White House, oh, no, that can't happen. Here you go, here, look at these people here going in. running out with, look at it, they're just happy. It's like Monty Hall just gave them a free win, spun the wheel, they won, how much can you grab and run with? It's a free grab and run here. This is because, you know what, somebody broke the law, so it gives the right for others to steal and loot and burn down communities. Democrats are okay with this. They actually said that, they shouldn't be able to charge this because this is a release of their frustration because of what happened. Okay, my word, this is what they said. They said they shouldn't be held accountable. I guarantee you, not a goddamn person in here gives a shit about the guy who was shot. They just care about what they can get for free. That's all. Look at them. Look at them. Look at this. This is disgraceful. Inhumanity right here. Look at this. And it's not a race issue. Look here. You see these are white people, they're black people, Spanish people, Mexican. It's not really. Look at it. They just want to knock and destroy things. These are just destructive nature people. These are the Democratic platform. This is their people. But yet, this is their people. This is what their people do, right? And then when you get here and you listen to this woman, that's what their people do. And then this is how they talk about the people who don't riot and loot and steal.
What we should be doing is shunning these people. Shaming these people is a statement of moral indignation that these people are not fit for polite society. It's not only that Trump has to lose, but that...
You would think she'd be talking about the people we just witnessed in those riots and looting, right? But no, she's talking about the others.
Burn down the Republican Party.
The Republican Party.
We have to level them.
Level them.
There are survivors.
If they're survivors, they want to literally exterminate us.
They will do it again.
That is a Washington Post columnist.
You believe in this, right? This is the deal we got going on, people. This is the reality we're facing. This is the idiocy of what is going on. Are you kidding me? Well, that's my rant. Obviously, they got the Senate stands in recess subject to call of chair. And, this is a joke. To me, it's a freaking joke. It's a disgraceful joke. And that's what I got to say about it. And I hope this video, share it, put it out, let people consider the facts of reality. Because I'm telling you, I'm sick of watching people be pitted because of political party, race, color, national origin, or immigration. These people are just trying to distract. And what this whole thing about, this whole shit show of an impeachment is about, is to try and take the truth out of the light of what the people have seen. The people attacked Washington. They attacked the capitals across this country because they're about to overthrow this government and remove it. And it's coming, people. It's coming. So either a civil resolve has got to come, or history's going to repeat itself, and we're going to see 1861 all over again. But I'll tell you what, the problem is, it's going to be a sad situation. Because I can tell you right now, the majority of the military, the guard, the police, the sheriffs, they're going to side with the people. And there's going to be maybe a small minority of those who follow the orders of this government because they're ignorant and don't understand the 3 words of the Constitution. We the people. Not we the government. And I hope that this video, that's what I'm going to say right now to all law enforcement, FBI, state police, everybody, commanders in the National Guard, the military, you took an oath to the Constitution. That Constitution, I'm going to show you right now, is pretty clear. It states very clear in that Constitution. The first 3 words right here, you can see it. What's it say? We the people. Not we the government, we the people. That's who your oath is to, we the people. And understand, this Constitution you took an oath to defend to was not given by the government, was not established or founded by the government. It was founded by we the people. It's the orders of which we consent to your powers, even as the military, as the police, or anybody. All your powers and authority are consented to you by we the people through this Constitution, not the government. Not the government. Understand that. The government as well is subject to the very thing of this you are, the people. Okay? And we the people, as you will see, and as I'm trying to tell you, that we have the right to alter, amend, or abolish a corruptive, overreaching, abusive government that has been now long-standing, in which it has been for 50 freaking years. And it's at a point right now, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. And I'm going to tell you what, they're going to push the envelope to the point where the next rise up across this country is going to be an unstoppable one. And it ain't going to stop until everything is set to standards of fact, to be sure that the people have control again of not only this government, but our nation as a republic is what we founded it. The people will stand to their Constitution, and they will uphold. And in this time here, it appears the only way we're going to have accountability is when the people do rise up and decide to hold this government accountable. And when that happens, you're going to find out, all you people in the government, you should have never went this far with playing these stupid goddamn games. I would advise you real quick, stop playing these stupid goddamn games. Because you know what? Across this nation right now, you are pissing off the American people. And you're setting yourself up for accountability by the American people. That's going to be a force unstoppable if it breaks out. And I can tell you right now, your own military people, your National Guard, your FBI, your CIA, they're telling you straight out, and they ain't lying to you. They're outnumbered 10 to freaking 1. They don't have a chance. And they know it. They know it. You keep pushing that envelope, you're going to face that reality. It's going to come for you. And that's all I got to say to people. So with that being said, everybody have a great day. Keep watching the shit show, because that's all it is a shit show. A freaking disgrace to this country, a disgrace to our history, a disgrace to our founders that's unbelievable. It's just shameful what we're seeing in this country right now. Disgracefully shameful. And the real responsibility, as I said, behind all of the issues we're facing in this country is the very goddamn government that keeps playing this shit show and causing more and more issues right now. Just disgraceful. But with that said, everybody have a great day. Thanks for watching my video.